Final Exam 1981 overall thoughts review.
Yeah, this movie's a prime example of a douchebag's attempt to make a horror movie. To try and cash in on that early 80s slasher trend.
Yeah, I got 4 out of 10 stars on IMDb.
And deservedly so. It sucked. I swear no one on set probably ever even made a horror movie before this.
He's like a whack-ass Michael Myers with like the knife and everything.
He's like a watered-down Michael Myers. That's probably the only horror movie that the makers of this probably ever saw was Halloween.
I know, you get the feel about it all throughout the whole movie, just like Halloween, the way they shoot it.
Halloween would have probably been as forgotten as this film if it wasn't titled Halloween, if it wasn't for Irwin U. Blondes. John Carpenter's narcissistic ass had to be like, oh, yeah, I could make a horror movie. I'll title it The Babysitter Murders with no gore.
And drop fake leaves.
The only thing that made that movie, there was no gore. The only thing that made that movie was the theme and the title. But if there wasn't no Halloween, then the Myers Fan 25, there would have been no Myers Fan 25. He would have been the Rock Fan 25.
Exactly. He would have been like the Final Exam 25. Because he would have got the same jive of that movie from this.
This movie wouldn't even have been made if it wasn't for Halloween. What are you talking about?
Alright.
The producers of this film have no shred of creativity.
So it starts
The soundtrack is pretty decent. There's piano and there's 80s electro mixed in.
It was a pretty straight soundtrack.
The opening scene, it's a couple making out in a parked car.
In the words of Lorraine Bain McFly, I never called a boy. I never sat in a parked car with a boy.
And it's like, the girl's just like in there and she's just like, no other girl would put up with you. And you're like, oh, give me a break.
It's just generic lines, and then like the killer's outside like touching, messing with the car. And he's like saying hardcore lines like, oh, it's just some dumb jacks. I'll go out there and rough them up. She's like, no, let's just drive away to a different spot. I'll make it up to you.
And then he gets pulled out of the car and stabbed on the hood.
And it's
they just beat a dead body bag like it's the set of Rob Zombie or something.
Yeah, they kept it raw, like just filmed them stabbing it.
No one, and this is what because no one knew how to like make gore effects. All they had was fake blood on set. Kind of like when you watch the Blair Witch
kitchen knife.
Kind of like when you watch the Blair Witch Project and like the only gore that they show is that like Ziploc bag of blood and they're like, hey, blood here.
The wrapped up tongue. Fake blood.
That movie's so pathetic.
Alright, so then the boyfriend gets killed, and they cut away, and you don't even see the girlfriend get killed, and it goes to the college.
It goes to a different college.
We meet the
main cast at another university.
And the only extras you meet is at the beginning of the movie, too.
I gotta be honest right now. We've done like 30 takes of this review, and I just want to punch L-Mid right in the face.
Yeah, I just want to freaking smash JBM's brains in with a freaking bat.
Why? You're the douchebag this whole time.
Oh, wow. Alright, so we meet the cast, and we meet the nerd on the left and the pretty ugly girl in the middle. And then freaking one of the freaking,
the pretty ugly girl.
And then we
like
meet,
Janie from Not Another
the guy on the right's a part of the fraternity.
We got the douchebag, the nerd, the jock, the pretty ugly girl, and the two
it's
blonde
all pretty
bimbos.
typical.
No, but actually the dialogue compared to other, and keep in mind when we do these reviews, we're comparing it to other slashers of that genre, that era. And so the dialogue is above average for an 80s slasher, I'd say, but there's a bunch of boring conversations that they do.
I was going to say, the dialogue is not above average. At some points, it's terrible.
I know, some of them are so boring and
you just want to gouge your eyes out.
No, this isn't the ending to Rob Zombie's 2. That's the only movie where you want to gouge your eyes out.
Sure.
When they have like the little Michael Myers like holding hands with like Laurie and they're all walking.
That's terrible. Like, shut up. So we meet the freaking cast.
What pisses me off like it?
So we meet the freaking cast from the college, and then a van pulls up after they go their exams, and it's like freaking 5 people with like ski masks on, just unloading a freaking prop gun. And killing off a couple people.
The jock Wildman, he's hilarious in this. So is the nerd. The nerd might have the best lines in this. But yeah, they do the fraternity prank as a diversion
so he
for
can
the
like pass
douchebag
his test. So he can like cheat
It's
or
a
something.
fucking exam, you fucking douchebag. Kind of like the title.
Oh yeah.
Final exam.
Alright, so I'm a fucking douchebag. Okay. So then, so it's so filler though. I mean, I know it's so unrealistic because and then the nerd on the left freaking calls the cops, and they come, and it's just like all the extras, and this is the last time you see the extras is when the cop comes to check about the murders. And he's like, yeah, there was this assault rifle in there, and everyone was getting. They like take the bodies with them, but you find out it was just a prank from freaking a fraternity, and you're like, okay, if you did that in real life,
prank the whole time,
you'd still be going to jail for murder.
It would have been like
even if it was a prank.
What was I gonna say? It would have been like an action movie if that was a real scene. You knew it was a prank.
They only did it because it was freaking like that time when they were doing action movies, like early '80s when they had the guns, and they were like every scene was just explosions and gun bangs. Up to the early '90s.
Then when they talk about stealing the test results for the next exam, and there's like the lake.
They make the other nerd.
There's like the lake in the background. It's a dope shot.
Oh, that is a tight shot of that lake. It's like thick foliage all around it in the hill. It's gorgeous.
And then the nerd tells the cop, this is one of the best lines, he's just like, senseless murder is a modern phenomenon. He's just like, there's psychopaths everywhere out there. He's almost like the Randy Meeks of that.
Yeah, that part's tight when he says that line.
Most of the first half, you better enjoy the opening death scene because most of the first half plays out like an 80s comedy. There's no death scenes for the next 55 minutes after that. Anyway, they even tie up the pledge and they strip him naked, and he's like, "Go get my girlfriend."
After he steals the exam for him.
In his whitey tighties.
Yeah. That scene's like such filler because they leave him there for like a good while. No, and then they have like the girl who's like the friend of his girlfriend, like running around, going to all the filler rooms, the dorm rooms, knocking on all the doors, like, has anyone seen, whatever the bitch's name is, and she's like, oh yeah, your boyfriend's out there tied up. And it's just lining up the next kill for the chick to get killed. And while we're waiting for her to find him, to come to him, he gets killed. He gets like let loose by the killer.
The death is shown in the dark after he lets him loose.
And the killer jumps from out of the tree.
They don't do killer POV. Instead, they do the killer in the shadows, kind of like how they show him in the.
Well, they do show him once in the daytime with like a killer.
I'm talking about at first.
I'm saying like a Michael Myers style. They show right behind him at the couch, like in broad day, like he's there walking around. And then when they go up to the chick's window,
I know they drew like all their inspiration from Halloween.
Yeah, when they're looking down from the chick's window up in the dorm, she sees him out there like walking through the grass, like, but it's kind of you can't really see him, just like Halloween.
And they show Wild Man, the meathead, stealing ills.
Yeah, they send him to go get pills after the freaking test thing.
L-Mid got this high without taking an ill.
And it's like such non-realistic. He goes there like a total meathead and he like smashes the whole locker room up. And then he finds his pills and he empties them all out on a raw table and he puts them all in one handful and he puts them in his pocket.
Oh, and they're like, make it look like an outsider break-in. So he breaks a trophy.
Oh yeah, that part's hilarious.
He busts the head off of a trophy.
That's the only like funny scene you'll see halfway through the whole movie.
And then he gets his ass kicked. He gets his ass kicked by the middle-aged 35-year-old white.
As he's leaving, the killer's there, and he's like, "Who's he? Who's he?" In the gym, because like the scoreboard's on. He's like, "Who's there?" Even though if you just broke everything, you'd be running either.
He's a jock who's all freaking ripped, and he gets his ass kicked and killed by the freaking 30 or 32-year-old villain.
Oh yeah, this is where we get like a peek look at the killer. You can see his face a little bit. It's just an average 30-year-old MacGyver-looking white guy. With MacGyver hair and jeans and a jacket.
He's just all he thinks about is tail and spending his money on shots
cheap
of
women
scotch
and cheap women and bashing jocks' brains in.
He's a psychopath. Anyway, the nerd starts drinking and babbling on about psychopaths again.
Yeah, talking with the pretty ugly girl.
Hold up, they're in the gym and it's like the Bulldogs and they're just like 1, 2, 3, go Bulldogs! Freaking homo.
So then freaking he's got a fifth and he's going to bed and tells the pretty ugly girl, like, all right, lock your door, I'll feel safe if you do. And then he just ends up going to the gym.
And the pretty ugly girl's just like, why is it you can always make me laugh, but you could still never get a chance at getting in my pants? She's blabbing on about, oh, this bitch is pretty, and if you're pretty, you don't have to do shit in your life.
This is where you see no extras for the rest of the time being. And it's like, okay, there's no one around with the college. All the doors are open and unlocked. It's like so retired. The other blonde bimbo is going to meet the teacher because she's like...
Hold up, she was trying to tell the audience that it's easy being a guy than being a pretty ugly bitch. Remember she was saying that? She was like, because guys can just go out and get what they want. But girls, they have to wait for some rich asshole to freaking... Wow.
Not really. They can show their freaking tits.
Exactly, and collect dollar bills and whatnot.
Wow.
Anyway.
Just for that exactly.
It's the douchebag death scene. He goes to the training room. Wow.
Is that before? No, I'm saying is that before? No, I'm saying is that before
See what I have to work with?
The pledge goes back to check on the meathead, or is it the nerd that goes first?
No,
because he's dead and he finds him in the locker.
It's the douchebag character. He goes to the training.
Go on, douche.
He goes to the training room, finds Wild Man, the meathead, dead in the locker, and he gets chased.
Oh yeah, he goes in there and he's like, oh man, he really messed up the locker room, and he's picking up the pills off the ground. He's like, oh, here's some pills, and he's picking them up off the ground.
No, they try to make him like, oh yeah, and then they try to make him elusive and like supernatural, like Michael Myers, because he comes out and the Corvette, he turns the guy's Corvette lights on.
Yeah, that he runs away and he runs into back into the school in a back way. And then freaking the keys are right there when he comes in to lock the door. But then he goes to run in the back and then the killer's already inside a bucket and like pops up and stabs him.
And you're like, what? He's not like, supernatural. He's a freaking white ass inbred from inbred, then inbred again.
With jeans and a Michael Myers knife.
Grew up eating pink slime. Actually, this was pre-pink slime.
Actually, no, they did do it in the 80s.
Yeah, this was stuck in the 70s though, so he grew up on actual meat.
Filler.
Instead of filler meat. Like they're feeding kids
so he's not
meat.
Supernatural, he's dead. The nerd comes in there now for no random reason, even though he had a bottle
Hold
to
up,
finish.
no, the slut blonde who's like having an affair with the teacher.
Yeah, they just show her getting up there to meet with the teacher, and she's playing the piano.
She gets naked, they go legits and show the tits. And killed, of course, shortly thereafter. In the meantime, it's filler forever. And the pretty ugly girl, like, running around campus for hell. And, like, the only people on campus were the actors. Because she's going, like, all around the campus, opening every door.
Because they had no money for extras. And if they did, it'd just be their family members.
Okay, here's a tip to survive a horror movie. Pick a direction and run away from the crime scene. Not in and around and upside down out of the crime scene. Of course, L-Mid has nothing to add on to that. He's a freaking simple-minded douchebag.
I'm so simple-minded and such a douchebag.
Then the sheriff throws up. Actually, you think it's the sheriff, but it's the coach. And he gets killed by his own bow and arrow that he whips out.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, this is the ending, you fucking
right
douche.
Before that, freaking the douchebag nerd, she goes out, the chick goes out, the pretty ugly girl, to get a Pepsi. She comes back, and he's, go to the picture, you freaking douche.
I guess I didn't.
Go to the picture, you douche. He's got his freaking head through the door like that, and she's like, "Oh, you scared me."
This is the only thinks it's a joke that they show.
She thinks it's a total joke, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you smile? Hey." And then she's like, "All right, I think he's actually dead." It's like, yeah, it's a joke. Yeah, he busted a freaking hole in the door. She goes running around
with her arms flapping like she's Jamie from Not Another Teen Movie.
So the nerd's dead. She runs.
Anyway, this is the final scene.
She sees the killer, and then we finally see the killer's face raw as hell, like, and they're running all through the school, through the kitchen room and everything. She grabs a Michael Myers knife. He's got a Michael Myers knife. They're running all through. She goes to like a church building, kind of like.
He gets knocked down the stairs, just
Halloween.
like
She goes all the way up there.
Just like Halloween 1. Like when Laurie knocks Michael down the stairs.
And you're thinking, alright, if you go back to him and he's not there at the bottom of the stairs, but just like Michael Myers, and you're like, oh, great. But nah, he is down there and he is dead. But freaking, yeah, the the coach shows up. Not the coach,
Oh my god.
He shows
Halloween
up with
would
the
have ended up this dull. You know, like, the people around John Carpenter is what made Halloween. They went to the store, got the Captain Kirk mask, painted all white.
Wow.
Freaking John Carpenter would have just had this guy, like an average white guy silhouette. Like,
no, and also to add that he's supernatural when he's chasing her and she locks him into the kitchen room instead of the freezer. And then he comes out 3 doors down. No, they don't, you idiot. They want to hear about the supernatural part when the freaking
Halloween's
the
the
coach
most
shoots
freaking
the arrows.
overrated movie ever.
The coach shoots the arrow and freaking the white guy, the bad guy, just grabs it in midair. Grabs the arrow before she knocks him off the freaking stairs. Shut up. They want to hear me talk about Halloween.
Yeah, I already said that, you douchebag.
Well, you didn't say he was supernatural.
I think we've said that like 5 dozen times. Anyway, and then it goes to freeze frame, like we were saying. They play the piano. It's not even a horror thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like an upbeat, like, hey, it's happy. Freeze frame. She's sitting on the stoop crying. No cops around. She's dead. Everybody's dead.
Like, oh my goodness. Anyway, special shout out to What Pisses Me Off 710.
No, don't shout him out. I'll piss him off.